Well, I know there's some leadership circles that talk about sort of the concentricity of directional leading. There is the leading down, for lack of a better term. This is where you're leading the people that are under you. Then there is the horizontal leadership where you're helping lead people that are kind of at your same level, that are more your peers. And then there is obviously leading up, which is when you are subject to, someone else that's in leadership, and they, I guess, would be the ultimate decision makers. But for whatever reason, you're finding yourself having to actually lead them. In other words, the productivity of your team, of your unit, of your company requires that you're constantly having to pull things out of those that are over you. Did you ever have any experiences like that?
I had multiple experiences like that because I typically found myself working at the upper levels of the military, of the Army. And so what I would do is ask questions. I found that by asking a lot of questions, I could then get people to understand and to think about how we might be able to do things a little different. When I was on active duty, it was not as many females in the service. In fact, I tended to be the only woman on the staff as an officer. And so I had to make sure that I, one, understood what my colleagues were saying, two, reframe things in a way that allowed me to use my voice as a female officer, but to also demonstrate that I had a knowledge level and a skill set that was comparable to everyone else around the table. And so one of my experiences that I definitely use today in my current position is I was the exercise officer for U.S. Central Command for one of our major joint exercises that we did with all branches of service and our allied officers. And I remember I had to go to D.C. to present the plan. And with me, one of our Marine officers who actually outranked me. I was a lieutenant colonel. No, I was a major, and he was a lieutenant colonel. And we go to the Pentagon, and we're in this large room. At the table, there are general officers and full bird colonels at the table. And I looked at my lieutenant colonel and I said, well, should you sit at the table? He said, no, you are the exercise officer. He said, you sit at that table and you are there representing the sink. So while you have this on your collar, remember, it's 4 stars that are sitting there because you represent the sink for Central Command, the commanding officer. He said, I will sit across from you on the other side of the room, and you can just look at me. If you need me to give some detailed information that's very specific, you just look at me and just give me a little nod and then call on me and I will address that. He said, but you are more than capable of doing this. You are the sink's representative. And so it gave me an opportunity once again to do what you talked about. I'm leading up, but I'm also leading across with my peers, as well as we always think about leadership, meaning I'm leading subordinates. But for leaders, we find ourselves in positions a lot of time where we are asked to lead up and to lead across, as well as leading the subordinates we have the privilege to lead.
Hey, John Maxwell here. I'm excited to endorse the book that Kim Moore has written. To the inspiring female leaders in my audience, listen up. My friend Dr. Kim Moore knows what it takes to get a seat at the table, and her experience will inspire you and her advice will challenge you. That's why you need to get her book. You're in the leadership chair. Now what? And while you're at it, pick up a few more copies for your close friends who want to be taken seriously as leaders. I can't wait for you to be changed as a result of reading this book.
Thank you, John. This is Dr. Kim Moore. To get your own copy of my new book, You're in the Leadership Chair, Now What?, which is now available on Amazon, just go to leadershipchairbook.com.